It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview a retired hockey player, Corey Elkins. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to play professional hockey?
For me, it happened pretty early on. My family we were around hockey quite a bit when I was really young, and I think probably the first memory I have is my grandma had a video of Detroit Red Wing highlights, and so that was probably the first really thing that I was inspired by and wanted to start playing.
What was your time like at Ohio State University?
Ohio State was fantastic experience. I had a couple of injuries throughout my first couple of years. Then after that, in my senior year, was able to, have a pretty good year. And the college experience for me was really great. I'm really Ohio State and Columbus is a pretty special place. Coming from Michigan, it took a little bit of heat for going down south of the border, but it was really great.
What was it like to put on the Ohio State uniform?
It was really an honor. The university has like a really rich history of athletes and a lot of amazing traditions, and to be a part of that organization and university was great.
Of course, coming out of Ohio State, going into the NHL signing, what was it like signing with the Los Angeles Kings?
Yeah, that was really exciting. It happened pretty fast. I finished my senior year of hockey, and the NHL season was still going on. So I actually had an opportunity to leave school. I was finished with all the classes that I needed to get done anyway. So it actually worked out really great. So I had the chance to go to LA right away and kind of get a taste of what that was like. It was a really great experience.
Of course, with signing with the Los Angeles Kings, did you go the minor league route or were you automatically into the NHL?
So right away after college, that year, the way the rules worked is if you signed an NHL contract, at that point in the season, the team had to take you with the NHL club. So at that time I spent the rest of that year in LA, and then started the next year in Manchester in the American League.
What was it like to put on the LA King jersey for the first time as a professional and play as a professional?
Yeah, that was really amazing. Kind of funny enough, as a kid, I think I had two hockey jerseys. One was a Detroit, like a Steve Yzerman Red Wings jersey, and the other one was a Wayne Gretzky Kings jersey. And so, yeah, I remember my mom actually always mentioning that was pretty crazy that the one other everything was Red Wings growing up. So the one thing I had from another club was LA, and so to put that jersey on was pretty cool. And again, like an amazing franchise with a ton of really amazing history, and just that whole environment there was great.
What was it like playing for the Grand Rapids in 2017, 2018?
Yeah, so Grand Rapids was really awesome for me because it was the first time I had been playing back close to home for quite some time. And then getting to be a part of the Red Wings organization in some way was really, really great for me. That was actually one of the more fun years I had playing hockey. It was a great group of guys. The coaching staff was fantastic. It was a really fun year.
What was it like playing for the Fort Wayne?
Fort Wayne. Yeah, Fort Wayne was, I'm trying to remember. Okay, yeah, I had a few games in Fort Wayne. That was fun. So like during the lockout year, there was a lot of shifting and things going around. There was guys coming back that were, that hadn't signed contracts, and, former or, more NHL established guys were coming into American League lineups. So Fort Wayne was fun. It was, in that league, you only run 3 lines. So it was a lot of ice time, which was really cool. Yeah. And so it was a short stint there, but I had a good time in Fort Wayne.
What was it like transitioning to the AHL and playing with the Manchester?
So American League it's a lot different animal than college hockey. It's when you make that jump, everything happens a lot faster. The game is far more organized than the college game was, and guys are bigger and more experienced. So it was a pretty quick learning curve. And we had a young team, so I was kind of in the mix there with some other guys that were in their first and second years pro. So it was a pretty tough transition. But yeah, it was definitely it wasn't the jump from college to American League was a little less of a challenge than the jump from the American League game to the NHL game. That was a pretty different animal.
What was it like playing for the Norfolks and Meaners?
The Norfolk Admirals, yeah. So Norfolk was we had a really great team on paper. For some reason we couldn't quite put it together, but and the Anaheim organization was when I was coming out of college. That was another club that I was really, it was a possibility to maybe go there. So I was really grateful for the opportunity to go back and play for that club. And Norfolk is a great town, and it was a great American League city to play in. It was a good spot.
What was the feeling like in 2012 getting the call up to play for the Anaheim Ducks?
So my call up was with the Kings in LA, and that was pretty wild. I had an opportunity to go and play in Calgary and Edmonton in my first couple of games, and playing in Canada was really cool. During the national anthem, the entire crowd really took over the national anthem, and that was something, you see it on TV, but I had never been in the atmosphere like that. So that was really amazing.
What was a typical game day like for you?
So game days, yeah, they become sort of robotic after a while, but it pretty much starts off with a morning skate. Either some kind of morning skate or workout, and sort of get jump start the day a little bit, and then so you get to the rink in the morning, back either home or having lunch at the rink, and then you kind of wind it down a little bit in the afternoon. Some guys like to take naps, some guys don't, but then you're back to the rink for game time a couple hours before the game. So it's a full day. A game turns into a game day turns into a kind of a full day process, but it's definitely something that gets to be quite routine over the years.
What were some similarities and differences in playing in the NHL and the AHL?
Yeah, so differences, I guess, would be everything happens quicker. So the tough part for sure was understanding how and being in the right spot and knowing where your options are before they happen is definitely a big advantage on adjusting to that game, because everybody skates faster and the puck moves quicker. So everything just has to happen mentally a lot quicker. The American League too it happens fast, but I would say it's a little less structured than a lot of the NHL games. But again, it's a fast-paced hockey, and both very physical. Well, at least when I was there, it was really physical. So yeah, those would probably be the biggest difference, is just the speed at which the puck moves.
Of course, with you being retired now, looking back on your career, what are some differences between the NHL game now versus when you were playing?
I think probably overall and on average, the skill level is super high, and it's really fast. I think probably players on average are a little smaller, but for the most part, it's pretty close. Seems to be pretty close to the game that when I was playing.
Who are some players that you look up to during your playing career?
Yeah, good question. My first ever like hockey hero was Steve Yzerman. And then pretty quickly when he got here, Pavel Datsuk. Those two were pretty influential, and I guess the guys that I tried to emulate.
Of course, with playing hockey, were there any players that you looked up to while you were playing and any of your team rivals that you looked up to?
You mean like guys that I would play against?
Yes,
Going through youth hockey or pro hockey?
pro.
Yeah, good. That's another good question. So I had the chance to in my time with LA, I had the chance to play and skate a lot in the off seasons, and actually spent some time living with Dustin Brown. So that was a really good influence, and a good person to sort of just get some life lessons and download some of his experience while I was there. So I would say probably Dustin, and then another guy that I played with in Finland that was a really accomplished veteran hockey player was Ville Peltonen. I believe he had quite a few years in the NHL and Olympics, and I played with him pretty much for the full year, one of the full years when I was in Helsinki, Finland. So that was those two guys were probably two of my bigger influences.
What was the transition like from you from going from being a hockey player to now working in the corporate world?
Yeah, so the tough part I think is finding something to put your physical energy into. Day in and day out training and skating, and having sort of a purpose to all the madness that you're doing to prepare yourself physically. Having that kind of not being an anchor for everything that you do in your life, that was a pretty big change. So kind of adjusting to that, figuring out some ways to harness my kind of needing to do something every day physically. That was a bit of a challenge, but I've really enjoyed being in the technology space. And the company I work for is like a group of fantastic tech veterans. So it's kind of been like being plugged back into a really, high performing team.
Of course, are there some times where you miss playing even though you work in the tech world?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I actually had a chance to go to an Ohio State alumni event this past weekend. And it was, you miss those relationships in the locker room atmosphere, and, getting to compete. So yeah, there's definitely things you miss.
How has your playing career helped you into where you are now in the tech world?
I think a lot of life comes down to relationships, and a big part of especially being in a sales role in the tech world, it's like the relationships and network that I've made over the years through traveling and hockey, and outside of the hockey world for sure has been a big part of it, and it's been helpful in making the transition. Yeah, so that's probably something that's been really important.
What advice would you give college hockey players looking to play college hockey and get into professional hockey?
Um, Probably the biggest advice is not to take a night off. You just you never know. Back to that whole thing about relationships, and you never know who's watching or who you meet on one night that could end up being an opportunity down the road to make a team, or a scout or a coach really like the way you played. Um, and so, yeah, you just never know when there's a moment that might impact your career. So take advantage of every chance.
What advice would you give current and future professional players looking to play?
Future professional players?
Yes.
Yeah, I think again it comes down really. It's really important to be consistent and to earn trust. Like being reliable every night, and like when a coach looks down the bench or looking for who wants to go out in a big moment, it's really important to be consistent. And so figure out what it is that you can do consistently, focus on those things, and then start to work other things into your game from there. But figuring out what it is you can bring to the table night in and night out is really important.
What advice would you give minor league players that are playing professionally looking to get that call up to the major leagues?
Focus. Don't get too caught up in looking ahead, and enjoy your time, and really enjoy it while it's there. So like, yeah, you can get in the American League, you can always kind of get this sense when you're not getting called up, or like regardless of how the team's doing, you can kind of always get this sense that what you're doing isn't quite good enough. But just just keep your focus small and one day at a time, and enjoy it while you're there.
What advice would you give hockey players transitioning from being professional hockey players to in the real world?
Probably, seek out people that have done it, and get as much advice as you can. Try to find a mentor or two that can help you find some direction. And I've been fortunate to find something I genuinely enjoy, like the learning in the tech world. And so if you can find something you can enjoy, that's a great place to start. Because at the end of the day, there's not a whole lot of things that are going to directly translate to the business world, other than kind of a work ethic and being able to lean on people to be able to help you, figuring out new daily routines and new ways of trying to find some success after hockey.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Right now, social media, I'm really just on LinkedIn. So yeah, happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's it for me in terms of social media.
Thank you again, Corey, for your interview, and best of luck in your future in the tech world.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Corey, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thank you. You too.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.